Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. I'm thrilled and honored to introduce today's guest. Her vision is to make beauty simple, bringing real-life beauty and sun protection together. After an exciting and distinguished career as a professional makeup artist, working with models and Hollywood A-list celebrities such as Cindy Crawford, Diane Lane, and Renee Russo, to mention a few, my guest was diagnosed with skin cancer. Realizing there was a need for a healthy sunscreen rather than a chemical one, she set aside the majority of her makeup work in film and in fashion, and she shifted her focus to developing an innovative product offering both substantial sun protection and healthy foundation coverage. Her vision was and still is to provide women with their beauty essentials, bringing real-life beauty and sun protection together. In her words, her products are designed to simplify a woman's beauty routine with healthy, multi-purpose products. Compact for travel, they are the products that go with you around the corner and around the world. Bringing her fashion and her innovation together, she created COLORFLO, an innovative brush-on, self-dispensing, on-the-go, natural sun protection and healthy mineral foundation in 2002. Ever since then, she has completed a cosmetic line of multi-purpose face, lip, and eye products for women, products for real women and real life. The same passion and dedication that she brought to the development of COLORFLO continues in her attention to detail and quality with each and every product. Products that are both beautiful as they are healthy. She has a passion for charity and philanthropy. In 2018, she received a humanitarian award at the Dancer Against Cancer Ball in Vienna, Austria, for her work in preventing skin care. From Fashion Group International, she received the FGI Rising Star Award for Beauty. She continues to receive numerous accolades for the development of her clean cosmetic line and her involvement in the community of Dallas and around the world. Her and her products have been featured in Lucky, In Style, Marie, Vogue, Allure, Real Simple, Town and Country, Good Housekeeping, Red Book, and more. Her cosmetics are sold worldwide in spas, med spas, apothecaries, specialty retail stores, and most conveniently and most importantly, online at susanposnick.com. Welcome, Susan. So nice to have you.
It's so nice to be with you. And wow, what an introduction.
I know. It's funny because I do the introductions and everyone, most of my guests go, boy, I'm exhausted just listening to it, because you never realize all the work and everything you've gone through until somebody reads it to you. So it's interesting. So
I think
first question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I think that's so true. We don't realize, because we're usually so caught up in the day-to-day, we don't realize all that we've accomplished.
Exactly. And that's something that we should reflect on more often, because you're right, we get caught up in the day-to-day and we don't see all the goodness that we have created and all the experiences that we've had so that we can share with others. So I'm going to start with a broad question, but something that I'm very curious about. What inspired your interest in makeup?
From a time I was a little girl, I have always been oriented towards visual things, fashion, art, makeup. I loved playing with dolls, but not because they were girly, but because I got to play with their hair.
Okay.
So, and dress them, but it wasn't so much a feminine thing as it was an art thing, which I came to realize later. So I've always had an interest in it. I did makeup for friends in high school. I worked in the, behind stage and theater. Just always doing makeup. It was a natural aptitude for me. But I didn't know there were jobs out there other than working behind a makeup counter. So fast forward to college graduation, living in the Virgin Islands, getting very close to a man who was a famous photographer in New York City in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And we became very good friends, and he would talk to me about getting off this island of St. Croix where I was living, and quite happy actually. And he said, you got to go. You're too young. You're 20 years old, 21 years old. And it was because of this man, Wendy, that I started getting into makeup and clothing. He and his wife had a clothing store there, one St. Thomas. He brought me in and taught me, and I kept gravitating to the makeup. It was Christian Dior, and I just kept going to the makeup, and people would come in and I would do their makeup. And he said, I'm going to take you to New York and I'm going to make introductions for you. Oh, and that's what he did.
How interesting. What an influence on your life. Isn't that interesting how people come into our lives and change them completely?
Completely.
Fascinating, fascinating. Well, yes, because makeup is an art. I mean, it's very close to painting, because what you're doing is using the face as a canvas. And I find it fascinating. So that story is really interesting. So you went from a freelance makeup artist to a full-time entrepreneur and the founder of Susan Posnick Cosmetics. So we had an earlier discussion, but tell our audience about making that shift and why.
Well, when I first started developing COLORFLO, which obviously didn't have a name, I had developed skin cancer. It was on my face. I couldn't wear chemical sunscreen, as you said, and I couldn't find a good option. So I wondered if I could make something, not thinking it would be a business. So my mom had taken ill back east. I grew up in Massachusetts, and I found myself every couple of weeks spending 2 weeks back east. And I needed a project just to keep myself occupied. And I started going to trade shows, cosmetic trade shows, packaging trade shows, just gathering information. This goes back over 20 years. So people were just getting on computers. It's what led me to get on a computer to do research.
Yeah.
So I started developing this product, and I started spending money developing this product. And I also came to realize that people were just starting to talk about getting skin cancer. Because before that, it was kind of hush, hush, nobody got it. Of course people got it, but they didn't know what to do in the same way. So I said, I need to make this a product. And that's how I got into business, on my dining room table, in my home.
You're an accidental entrepreneur.
A completely accidental entrepreneur. I would say that it's not my strong suit. And so it's been a particularly interesting journey.
I bet.
For me.
I bet. But it's interesting how your life has moved you in that direction, because it actually flows into my next question, which was, what challenges did you face when you left your freelance career and to start your own business? Because I know that was a big change for you. And so just share with our audience some of the challenges there are from being a freelancer to being your own boss, basically.
Well, I would have to say that everything was a challenge. Everything from, I knew that I wanted a package that would self-dispense. I knew that I wanted something that could be your sun protection and your foundation, and I wanted it natural. And this goes back long before healthy, clean, natural was popular. For me, it's always been important. I'm all about good skin. I'm about the environment. So the first challenge was finding a package. And there was a company that had just come on the market, and they had this self-dispensing brush. I had found them at a trade show, and I said, okay, I have to try this. And I had found it out-of-the-box chemist at the same time. And she and I worked together to develop the formulation, because when people think zinc oxide in a foundation, they think, oh, can't use it for photography. It's going to go white, everything else. So we worked for over 3 years to develop a complete all-inclusive color range, because I wanted sun protection from the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark.
Right.
So it was the packaging, it was the formulation. I didn't even think about getting to market.
You were too busy developing and innovating.
I just didn't think about any of that.
Yeah.
I just took it step by step. And then I had a product, and I was asked by some friends to open a small cosmetic area in a store called 4510, which was the ultimate of ultimate stores. And I said, I'll do it, but I've been developing this product. Would you let me bring it into the store? They said, of course. So that was my very first account. But the challenges there's always challenges. And I think anybody you talk to in cosmetics, it's about packaging first and foremost. Product, you can ultimately find good labs, but packaging has everything to do with placing an order, getting it on time, making sure it's not defective. If it's defective, what are your options? How much longer are you going to wait? How do you balance out how much to order versus how much you're going to sell? The list goes on and on and on. And I'm learning every day.
Yes, yes. Lifelong learners. That's what I'm finding. Most people who have their own businesses or have made a switch in their careers, we're all lifelong learners.
Absolutely.
And I think that serves us as we, make our path down our life. Well, you had a specific purpose in mind when you created your beauty line essentials, and particularly your first product, COLORFLO, which you just gave us a great story on. And you've carried that through in all your beauty products. So what is that purpose? Now, you said it was for skincare protection, but my question here is, how important is it for entrepreneurs to have a purpose in their business?
You have to have a mission statement, a purpose. It's an interesting question because I'm really not sure that everyone does. They get an idea, they know how to market it, and they bring it to market. But I think when you meet entrepreneurs, particularly in the beauty business and now in the clothing with sustainability, you have to have that mission, because that's what drives you. That's what drives you. Your belief that what you're doing can make a difference in somebody else's life.
Yes. And that's what gets you up in the morning and gets you excited when somebody comes to you and says, it's changed my life, or I'm so glad I found your product or your service, whatever it might be. Yes, absolutely. So purpose is paramount, I think.
Purpose is paramount. And for me, it was first and foremost about sun protection. Not just because of the skin cancer, obviously, which is what we all know, but also the more reading I did, I discovered that the sun is the #1 aging factor to the skin. So if you're protecting your skin from the sun with something healthy, you're postponing those lines that come in, the sunspots, the age spots, and possibly, if you start young enough, prevent them altogether.
So what advice would you give women who are thinking of starting a business later in life? Because I know you started later in your life, and I'm not sure if that makes a difference, but it may. But just throw us out some advice that you might give.
Well, I think later in life, if you have not had a business background, what I didn't know, well, I didn't know what I didn't know, but what I didn't know was how important it was to have a person who understood finance. Because for me, I kind of flew by the seat of my pants. I didn't do a business plan. I didn't do projections for a long time. I just flew by the seat of my pants. The product started to take off and I started to grow. I think so. The other thing is you need to have a team in place that really is a team that's enthusiastic and excited and wants to grow your brand with you. And you want to bring them along.
Right.
It's not always easy to find the right fit.
Yes.
I certainly stumbled a lot and I grew too fast because I didn't know.
Yes. Yes. Having a team is critical for, yes, for helping you do those things that you don't want to take care of or they're experts in and you're not.
Right.
And that's the beauty of having a team that is with you as opposed to just working for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
yeah, collaboration is really, and women do it beautifully, I find.
Women do it much better, much more successfully than men do.
Yes.
And the other thing, I'm sorry, the other thing is that the people you bring on board, and they can be men or women, but I'm just saying that women, like you say, tend to collaborate better. Everybody has to be willing to wear a number of hats.
Yes.
Because especially when you're starting out, everybody has to do multiple jobs. You can't hire a whole team of people, and you learn to hire out. You learn to hire freelancers for graphic work, now for social media, for whatever it might be.
Right.
Have social media when I started.
Yeah, they didn't have it the way back when I wasn't an entrepreneur, but yes, I know. I'm from the same era, so I understand. Now it's just a total job on its own, for sure.
Absolutely.
That's why you hire someone if you don't have the time to do it. But moving on, when you started out, you had a lot of things going on in your life, as you explained a little earlier. And what do you say about the notion of balance in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship? Is there such a thing?
I'd like to tell you that there is, and as we get older, we get wiser and we're better at balance, but I probably have to say, no, there's no such thing. But then there comes a time when you realize that the business is running you.
Yeah.
And that could be after 6 months, it could be after a few years, and you have to figure out a way to balance it out. I was raising a child. I was doing a little freelance work, but very, very little. Running the business, trying to learn my way around the business. And I didn't have that balance. And I was married, but on my way out. So then it became being a single parent and how that was all going to be, excuse me, how that had to all adjust. So, but now in my life, I mean, I have a morning routine. I don't come into my office till 10:30 because I meditate, I stretch, I work out.
Good
I
for
check
you.
emails from home, and I do all those things before I come in the office, so I'm ready to be in the office. The other thing that I learned that I read a number of years ago, do not look at emails for the first 2 hours of your day. Do not do anything else you want to do, then sit down and do your emails. Nothing is that urgent that you have to do your emails immediately.
That is such good advice. Because that's unfortunately what a lot of us do is the first thing we do is grab our phones. Right. And that sets your day.
It does.
You're lost in the email funnel.
That's right. And now it's Facebook and Instagram as well, and YouTube, whatever it might be. And again, you get lost in that funnel. And that's probably the worst funnel to get lost in, because there's so many shiny pennies. Once you start looking, you're off in this direction and that direction.
I've been there.
Of course, we all have. So the idea is have your personal time.
Yes. And make time for it.
You have to,
make time
for me, yes. I have to make time for it. And I would guess to keep any kind of balance and sanity, you have to do that.
Yes, I love that. That's great advice. Absolutely. What would you say are the 3 biggest factors that have helped you be successful?
Perseverance, first and foremost, passion, and let's see if I can, well, there's this little phrase that's called FEM, F-E-M, and it's fun, easy, make money. So you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to have a good time with it. Then it becomes easier. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not. That's a lie. But it becomes easier because it's your passion.
Yes. Yes.
And the third piece is make money. And I will tell you that for a long time for me, making money was not a priority. It was very interesting. For me, it's always been about the humanitarian piece of, I want to hopefully help save somebody else from getting skin cancer. And that was enough for me. Then I came to realize that perhaps I wasn't feeling worthy to make the money.
Interesting.
So there had to be a shift in my mindset that if I'm creating products that actually make a difference for women, and actually there are men who use my product, a couple of my products as well, then I deserve to make that money. And I think that's a big part of it. We deserve that.
Yes. That's a big part of women getting over that. That
Yes, it is.
huge. I am so glad you brought that up. I haven't heard anyone say it yet. And that is a hurdle that many women need to get over because they don't want to discuss money. Yep.
Exactly. Whether it's finances, retirement, business, it doesn't matter. Women tend to not want to discuss money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm so glad, and you mentioned the worthiness. That's interesting because that is a mindset. And who
Absolutely.
knows, that could be what's at the back of some individuals' minds. It doesn't mean always, but yes, that is a key point, and that is very great advice. I appreciate that. So what are some of the mistakes you wished you could have avoided?
Oh my God.
Is the list too long?
I think the first thing obviously would be I wish I had known more in the beginning.
Right.
The second thing was I began to grow pretty rapidly. I was one of the very first to have a mineral foundation out. I was the only one to have a self-dispensing brush that you could brush on, carry with you, touch up all day. Your skin looked better every time you did, and you got additional sun protection and environmental protection, and actually now, which is the big conversation, blue light protection from your computer.
Oh, okay.
So I started growing quickly. I brought in a friend of a friend as a financial advisor. He was perhaps not the best person for me to bring in hindsight.
Okay.
And my company grew very quickly. It not only grew in business, but it grew in staff. And I was not paying attention to the money as I should have. I left that to someone else. I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to create.
Yes.
And I was putting out a lot more. What happened was ultimately I was putting out a lot more than I was bringing in, especially when the competition rolled in. And then it became getting a line of credit. So I would say that was my first big mistake. Grow slowly. The temptation is you're taking off, grow fast. Bring in key people, bring them in slowly. I hear about people all the time who have an online business now and they're young. And all of a sudden they're bringing in 17 people and the next thing you know, the business is gone because there's no money. So that would, I would say, be the first thing. I went through a very big struggle in the recession that we had in 07, which is old news. I mean, when I look back and I think, oh my God, that was like 13 years ago it started.
I know. I can't believe it myself.
I know. But a lot of my accounts were individually owned spas and apothecaries, and they folded.
Yeah.
And then I had brought in my products to Japan, and we were doing extremely well in Japan. I traveled over there at least once or twice a year just to educate and whatever else. And overnight, they changed the CEO, and the CEO said, no more American products. I think what I'm getting to as I'm talking is don't put all your eggs in one basket. You have to diversify.
Great.
Online makes it much easier to put the majority of your eggs in one basket. And probably with online you can, but you always have to keep an eye open for a different opportunity.
Yes, a different and new opportunity. So that was one of my questions is, did you go online from the beginning, or was that something that you had to address once you had more than the first product that you developed?
No, I didn't go online till much later.
That's what I thought. So was that a challenge?
And it's absolutely been a challenge, and it's finding the right person, the right team, the right company, whatever it might be. And actually, I feel like I'm in a second coming moment right now because we're gearing so much, as are many people, to online sales. Wonderful established clientele, but it's time to reach out way beyond that.
Right.
And so, yes, I brought in that marketing person who's focusing primarily on social media marketing.
Right.
And I brought in the SEO person because it's the best margins, as we all know.
Yes.
And if you are successful in that, then those doors that you always think you want to get into will probably come calling. but you have an option to say yes or no.
Right, right.
Because every one of those big doors, Sephora, Ulta, department stores, you need millions, millions to support your products in there.
Yes.
And so then you have to go look for outside money, which is not a bad thing, but I know too many cases where that outside money took over the company.
Yes, absolutely. Because you expand too fast and then you don't have the means to pay it back, and it becomes a vicious circle. So did you encounter any resistance from existing accounts that you had when you went online?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how did you deal with that?
My stores did not like to see me online. And I said, I need that avenue. I said, I love you. I will support you every way I can. I will offer you special deals when you order products, but I have to be online. And I'll tell you what really turned it around.
Okay.
I don't know how many years ago it was, but I was watching television and it was a commercial for Chanel, and always with Chanel, buy here, buy there, buy here, buy there. And it said Chanel.com.
I knew it.
I said, if Chanel can do it, Susan Posnick Cosmetics can do
it. Wow. Isn't that the case though? I mean, the world has changed so much. And like you said, during this period, because we've all been locked in our homes and retail has been closed, it's thank God you're online. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's any businesses out there who are hesitating, because I understand the wholesale and the retail side of it, and it can be a challenge, but the longer you leave it, it's not going to get any better. I say if your retail store doesn't like it, then you know what? You don't need them as much as they need you, because you need, today, I feel that you need to be online, especially when you have a product, because that's the world we're moving into. I mean, brick and mortar is disappearing, you know.
Which is very sad.
It is very sad. I think we'll still have them. It's just not going to be as prevalent. And unfortunately, it'll probably be owned by the large corporations, not the small boutiques, which I personally love.
Which is so sad, because you want to support local business owners, individual business owners. But Amazon makes it really hard.
I know. But the nice thing is, though, with your business, like you said, you can also support your stores with any of your own marketing that you're doing on social media, et cetera, because lots of people do still like to go to the stores, and they do like to have that interaction with the individual. So if they see something that you've posted, they'll go, oh, I need to go back to my boutique and get that. So it can be a winning situation. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I've seen that happen in a lot of cases where you've been dealing with stores and you've had to make the switch to online, and you have had resistance, but you just got to do it.
You do.
You got to do it. Yeah.
I think the challenge with online with makeup particularly is foundation. Picking all colors, but particularly foundation colors.
Yes.
People actually want to go into a store first. And, you know, we obviously during COVID-19, we had no store orders and whatever else. And they're coming in slowly, but this week we just opened 2 new accounts, and they both came to me. They're both retail accounts.
Now, how did that happen? Did they say?
They had been familiar with my product. They had either used it or bought it somewhere else, and they were adamant that they wanted it. One is a med spa, and one is going to be an apothecary store. And within this week, we just opened the 2 accounts. And I'm amazed, actually, and I'm thrilled.
That is amazing, Susan. I am so happy for you. Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that be nice? The phone just starts ringing and the email comes in. I want to buy your products. That's wonderful. Well, how about on the other side of the coin? Because you began your business with the intention of possibly saving others from skin cancer. And we've talked about that, and that's been really ingrained in your purpose, and you remain passionate about making a difference. So tell our audience something about the humanitarian work that you're doing.
Well, I think I'm always getting on a soapbox and speaking every chance I get. and I do speak to women's groups, but I received, you mentioned it before, and I received a humanitarian award in 2018 in Austria, of all places, for developing a product that is healthy sun protection, that's portable, that goes with you, that you can reapply, because that's a big part of the problem. You can't reapply most sunscreens, they're cream. And also for being so vocal about the importance of wearing sun protection and why. So this award was at a ball in Vienna, Austria, for over 2,000 people.
Wow.
I was the sole recipient.
That's fantastic.
So,
And that's well, it just goes to show that you are making a difference. And you know, that is really, when you can make a difference in people's lives, then you know you're doing you're doing your purpose. Definitely.
I've done my job, or I'm doing my job.
Yes, you're doing your job for sure. So you're a mentor, I read, for Women That Soar, a media platform for entrepreneurial women. Give us some insight into your work as a mentor, and maybe 3 tips that you would give someone as a mentor.
Well, I think the first thing, and we touched on this before, is we don't know how much we know. But when you start talking to someone who's starting a business, whether it's in beauty, whatever it might be, I'm not going to talk to somebody about starting a hardware business, although the principles are the same.
Yeah.
But when it's in the realm of fashion and beauty, I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to let them understand what the whole manufacturing process is like, to really know what they're getting into, because like me, many people just want to dive in. And it's not the smartest way to do things as a rule.
Have a plan.
You have to have a plan. And I mean, I didn't. And fortunately, I've succeeded nonetheless. But you have to have a plan. That's the first thing. You have to have a plan. You have to have a business plan. You have to listen to people who have the experience. And I think that's incredibly important. I think a lot of younger people think they know everything.
Yes.
And a lot of that comes from the fact that they've had the ability to source so much on the computer, which our generation didn't have.
Right.
But they do think they know everything. And I've had a couple of people in here that I hired on a trial basis who I let go of because they didn't want to listen. Now, as an owner, I also need to listen, without a doubt, because I don't know a lot of what they know. But I do think it's for younger people, listening to the advice that you get.
Right.
Bring in people who know more than you do in different areas. And probably grow slow and steady.
Right.
And stay around and stick around.
Persist.
There's a lot of flash in the pans.
Yes. Yes. I loved your story on persistence, because you would not give up on, I think it was the dispenser, or
oh my God,
when we had that conversation, because you were saying, but I wasn't going to give up. So you kept persisting.
Right.
I mean, that is an incredible trait, I would think. I don't think it's a skill, but persistence is so paramount in business, especially today. So speaking of that, what would you say is the most important skill in business, if there is one that you could choose? Maybe we just hit on it. I don't know.
I think it's persistence, and I think it's listening.
Ah, okay.
I think it's listening. And none of us really do enough of that.
And if you had one piece of advice for someone wanting to start out, what would it be?
It would be 2 things. Find a mentor. And today it's not difficult to find a mentor because there's so many of us that are willing to help. It doesn't mean that we're going to give you every one of our sources, but we're going to be able to guide you. And perhaps sometimes give you that source.
Yes.
And then bring in the right people. have a mentor, and be willing to wear many hats, and then give up those hats as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely, because your energy will be drained if you try to wear them all the time. And that happens sometimes for especially individuals who are controlling.
Right.
Because it is difficult because you have to let go, but otherwise you can't stay focused on why you started the business in the first place, because I could see how you get tied up in everything else.
You do.
But what's important, right? So tell us something that's not on your resume.
Oh.
I like that. Okay, now I'm really interested. I
What's
like that.
not on my resume. Suffice it to say that working as a makeup artist, I had some of the most incredible adventures around the
Yes, I
world.
saw that you traveled all around the world.
Working on movies, commercials, music videos, concerts, fashion photography.
Oh my gosh.
I think the other thing that's probably not on my resume that people are always very impressed by, and it might be, I don't know, is that I was Mary Kay's personal makeup artist for 18 years. I remained a freelance makeup artist, but I was always her first call. The first time that we worked together on a video, we just established a rapport. And that rapport over 18 years became an incredible friendship. And she, unbeknownst to me at the time, was an incredible mentor.
Oh, how beautiful is that? So you happened upon your mentor.
Right. She once told me I was going to do a makeup line.
Oh,
and
she
I
did?
said, she did. She just knew. And I said, Mary Kay, I don't have the desire to be in business. I see colors. There's things that I want to create, but business is not my thing. She said, something's going to happen and you're going to have your own line. And when you do, you have to put your name on it because it means you stand behind your product. Now, there have been many times since then, since I started my line, that I wish my name was not on it, that I called it something else. But she was right. And so what happened, it was only 2 years later that I got diagnosed with skin cancer.
Wow.
And I was still working with her, actually, when I started working on my first product. And she was really proud of me.
Wow, that's amazing. That she had some intuition.
She was an extraordinary woman, and I never sold the product, which is too bad. I'd be sitting in a house somewhere at the ocean.
With your pink whatever nowadays.
Right,
I'm
exactly.
not sure.
But she just gave so much to women.
Yes.
She let women believe that they could help support a family and believe in themselves.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. And what an experience for you. Now, did that call come out of nowhere when you went to do her makeup for the first time? I'm just curious.
I was represented by an agency at the time, and
Okay.
they needed a makeup artist, and they thought I might be a good fit, and they sent me on the job.
And little did they know it was a lifelong fit.
Little did any of us know.
Beautiful story. I love it. I love it. Well, it just goes to show your passion, and your passion has always been there for makeup and cosmetics. And then that shift in your life, which was so interesting that Mary Kay said something will happen. And
she knew. I don't know how.
I don't know. I don't know how either. It's very interesting because that something was skin cancer, and that's what led you to develop your first product, and so on and so forth, and the rest is history. So is there anything else you would like to share, Susan, with our audience? Anything you're working on right now? I have been to your site and I absolutely love the look of your products. I am definitely going to try them, and I encourage anybody and everybody to check out Susan's site and buy directly from her, unless there's a retailer near you. But how can you lose? You've got product that has got a skin protection, and it's got a healthy coverage for you. And not only that, it's easy to apply because you've got that dispenser, which looks really interesting and fantastic for me because I'll just put it in my purse.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so you put a lot of thought into it, but go ahead.
No, and all the products, and I'm not one that comes out with colors each season.
Okay.
I want to keep my line very small
Mm-hmm.
because I want to simplify women's lives. I want
Mm.
to get rid of the clutter. Every woman has at least one makeup drawer, but
Oh.
many women have 3, 4, and 5 makeup drawers, and they're sitting with things that
Mm.
they never wear. They pull out once.
Right.
So, as you said earlier, my line is your beauty basics.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is multi-purpose. Everything is clean and healthy. I'm not going to tell you it's all natural because
Mm-hmm.
not every product is. Because for me, once I got into different consistencies, I
Mm-hmm.
had to add other things. But
Right.
I've been very aware of all the ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a little mesh bag like this,
Mm-hmm.
you can carry enough product to do everything, and it will last you 3 months.
Mm.
The stick that we make, the color I define is an eyeliner on one side, but you flip that angled liner, it's a shadow, and then there's a
Mm.
complementary shadow on the other side. Packaging has been as critical to me as the product because I have always been an innovator. I was the first to have a magnetic cap on my lipstick. The
Wow.
blush powder self-dispenses and like the COLORFLO. So I've been very, very conscious of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be another line.
Right.
I want that point of difference, and intelligent women understand it.
Right. And quantity is not quality necessarily. Like what you were saying, you don't need to have a million colors if you've got classic colors
That's right.
that last, that they never go out of fashion.
Right.
Because yeah, I mean, that's why I feel the big lines come out with new lines is for something for people to buy.
They
You
have
know,
to.
yeah, the fuchsias and there's so many crazy colors that you can buy nowadays, but
Yes,
they're
there
only going to
are.
last a season, if that, you know. But yeah, these are classics that last a lifetime. So
Exactly.
that's how
And
I see it.
everybody likes to buy a new lipstick from time to time.
Sure. Yeah.
There's no question. And there's a lot of colors that I would like to make going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other products I'd like to make, but still keeping the line very compact. And the
Right.
next product for me is going to be a foundation in some form to use with COLORFLO.
Mm.
Or I don't want to say in place because COLORFLO is the best thing to use even if you use it over any other foundation.
Okay.
And not on its own, which you certainly can do. It's all I've put on my face for
Mm-hmm.
20 years now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for
I
20
know.
years. But so many women love a liquid, a cream, a stick. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to give that to women as an option or to use in conjunction with.
Mm.
The tricky
Oh,
part is getting the sun protection SPF that's needed.
right.
So
Yes. But I know you'll do it
I
because
will.
because you always do. So I have a couple of last questions that are hopefully kind of fun that I like to ask of every guest. And the
Okay.
first one is, if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
I did it with passion.
Oh, I love that.
I did it with passion.
That's a book. That is a beautiful title, Susan. Beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Or
What?
I do it with passion
Yes. Yes, I
because
do.
I'm still doing it. So I
Yes.
do it with passion.
Oh, we'll have to put a sexy cover on that one with the great lipstick. So, what name would you give your character in your epic story?
Oh, what first popped into my head was Mary Kay.
Oh,
Isn't that funny?
that's funny.
That's very funny. It's the first thing that popped into my head.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's maybe what it would be.
But if not, I would have to say that I'd use my own name, Susan or maybe Suzanne. Suzanne.
Yeah.
It
Suzanne.
it rolls off the tongue a little better.
Okay, Suzanne, then it is. And how would you characterize your epic life?
Magnificent, really.
Mm.
I am so blessed. I believe that we're all here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you it's been easy, both personally at times in my life. Everybody has a story with business. It's not been easy a lot. But I am so grateful And I truly do. I have a magnificent, in this moment, I have a magnificent life.
Mm. That's beautiful. Beautiful. If you had one epic superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh. I think if I had a superpower, I'm not sure what this would be, how you would explain it really, but it would be to make people stop their stubbornness.
Okay.
To have this power, this ability, again, to make people listen, to stop being so stubborn.
Okay. Well, we could arrange that. I'm not sure how, but it sounds interesting for sure. Well, Susan, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insight, your knowledge, and your inspiration with us, and for showing us how you have turned your passion into profits, truly. And now Susan and I would love to hear from you. So go on over to my Facebook page and write a comment. Tell us what your epic takeaway was from this conversation. And remember, this is where you imagine, create, and build a life and business doing what you love. So until next time, this is the Epic Vision Zone.
Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.